Hey everyone, it's Nico, and what you're looking at here is a new game that recently released for Nintendo Switch and PC on Steam called Europa. Now, this is a game that is very adventure and exploration focused, and the way it handles this is different than what I usually play in like 3D platformers because there's no combat in this at all. It's meant to be this kind of chill and cathartic experience where you just enjoy the world that is designed here in its visuals and its sound. It doesn't have a whole lot of variety to its gameplay, and as a result is really easy to play through, but I think that was the intent, and that is the aspect of it that I really enjoyed about it, because I needed something after a long work week to kind of just play through and just relax. There's nothing stressful here. You don't have to worry about dying. You don't have to worry about really hard puzzles or hard boss fights or combat or anything like this. I just worked my way through it, and it's about a 3-hour game or so. So it's really short, but that is a good thing to me because I think if this dragged on any longer, I don't know that I would have finished it because I probably would have lost interest in it. That's not saying that it's a bad game by any means, because it's not. But this style of game was something that I just wanted like a slice of. And that's exactly what I found here with Europa. So in Europa, you're on the moon, obviously, and you play as this little android boy named Z. And he is the last remaining human. So as a result of this, the world might feel a little bit barren to some people because there are no other human beings to interact with. There's creatures in the game that you'll often see, and some of them might try to attack you, and if they do, they'll just briefly stun you and kind of slow you down. They won't kill you. They might knock you over. But then there's also deer and frogs and other creatures, and you have a journal that you can draw them in. So it's basically like a bestiary, and it's just an optional thing to do. You don't have to. It's real easy. You just press a button when you're near one of them, and this little journal will come up, and you'll see like pencil sketches of them. But other than that, you're basically just exploring through this barren world, trying to unravel the story about what happened in this fallen civilization. And your only human contact isn't direct contact, but you'll find journal entries which will be read to you by this older gentleman. And something about the way the story is presented in this regard, I really liked, and I'm not entirely sure what it was. It might have been that this older gentleman that reads the journal entries to you reminded me a lot of my grandfather, and I was really close with my grandfather, and he passed away quite a few years ago. So I think on an emotional level, something about that just really resonated with me and kept me just wanting to play through this and see it all the way through to the end.
I know you have a lot of questions, most of which can't be answered in this notebook. There's a chance you're angry, or that you'll get angry one day when you're older. Europa is unbelievable, but it's not finished. We're trying to build something better than what we left behind. That will take time. Generations even. That is why I'm sending you ahead.
Some people might not like that that's pretty much the only way the story is told. Some might. I enjoyed it. It's different, and I liked it. The platforming in this is not anything too crazy. You can fly a little bit in the air, and the longer you get into the game, the longer you can do this for, because you have a jetpack on your back, and the only upgrades you'll acquire throughout the entire game are these little sparkly gem things that upgrade your capacity for your backpack. So the platforming is the main way you're just going to traverse through this. There's some flying sequences and things like that. There's different variations of the platforming, but it's really basic. It's not anything crazy or thoughtfully designed like an Astro Bot or a Mario Odyssey, but what's here is fun and not frustrating. It's very rare that I felt like I even made a mistake on the platforming. It's pretty forgiving. So if you're not good at platforming and you just want to play this and you were curious if you'd struggle with it, you're not gonna. Believe me, you're not gonna struggle with that aspect of it. Other than platforming, you'll occasionally run into some puzzles. They're usually pretty simple. There's these little glowy orbs you'll have to move to open a door. Sometimes you have to light lanterns. Nothing's crazy. Your objective in this is always pretty straightforward. It's really hard to get lost in this, and it's not an open world. I know it might look like it is through the footage, but it's not an open world. It's divided up into like separate chapters or sections, and there's 15 of these total, and each one serves as like its own area. And then once you get to the end of it, you'll just move to the next. You can't backtrack or anything like that. And one thing I really would have liked is that since there are optional collectibles, there's these green emeralds, and then there's obviously also the upgrades for your jetpack. I would have liked a level select as you're playing through, and then the level select would show you, how many of each of those are on each level. So if you're a completionist, you could just replay the levels maybe you missed something on. The way this is handled is kind of an all or nothing type of deal. You don't get a chapter select until you completely beat the game. And although you can play the individual chapters, you can't really complete the game by doing that. So in order to get the achievements, you have to pretty much play through the entire game flawless. And that's kind of an archaic way of handling it. So that was one thing I really didn't like. But Europa is just really relaxing. I stopped many times to just enjoy the art. And this is a Ghibli style art design, so it probably looks familiar to some other games you've seen before. It's just really nice to look at. It's very colorful. The music is very atmospheric. And I think as a whole, that's the part of the game that they really nailed, is being atmospheric. The music and the art just come together and mesh so well to make it feel like that. I found this to be incredibly satisfying, and I'm not entirely sure how this runs on Switch. I would assume it runs pretty well because there's not a whole lot going on screen usually. There's not a lot of characters. There's not a plethora of enemies or anything like that. But just please note that this is the PC version that I'm playing here. I did play it with an Xbox controller, so I also can't really vouch for how mouse and keyboard controls work. But this is the controller experience you're seeing here, and this is PC footage. And if you like relaxing and chill games or think this one looks interesting, I definitely highly recommend it. It's really not that expensive at $15, and the 3-hour runtime was really perfect for me because I do like shorter experiences as I have less time, as I get older, as we do. So this was a really fun one that I wanted to share with you guys. So check this one out on Steam or on Switch. Hopefully it'll come to the other platforms as well, so PlayStation and Xbox players can eventually play this, because I really had a lot of fun with this. I found it to be really relaxing at a time where I really needed something that was just going to be chill. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like the video, comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. But until next time, have a good one.